So in class, we were talking about how the base tells me whether the graph is going to be going up or down, right? Increasing or decreasing. If the base is more than one, the picture is going to be going up. So question number 9, I expect my graph to be going up. Also, we talked about where it crosses the y-axis, and we said that it crosses at the point 0, 1. Now we can find multiple points, but let's just find one more. Let's find a point on the graph. I'm just gonna pick a random value of x. When my base is more than 1, I'd like to choose a positive value of x. Let's choose 1. All right, if x equals to 1, I'm looking at this, the function 2 to the x, that's gonna give me my y value. If x equals 1, well, y is 2. Now, what if I would have chosen 2? If x is 2, I'm going to say y is 4, right? 2 to the 2. What if x equals 3? Now, 2 to the 3 gives me 8. Notice how I'm coming out with a bunch of numbers. So I can just plot a couple points. As a matter of fact, let's plot all the points that I came out with. That gives me a better idea how my graph is going to look like. And there you go. Let's take a look at my example 10. I know my y-axis, I'm going to be crossing it there at the point 0, 1. I'm going to come out with values of x, but in this case, I'm going to come out with negative values of x. Let's say x equals negative 1. Now, the reason why I'm choosing a negative exponent, because I'll show you guys right now, negative 4th to the negative 1, that is the same thing as 4 to the 1. My negative exponent is basically going to undo the fraction because it's going to do the reciprocal of my fraction. So 1/4 to the negative 1, I'm just going to say it's 4. Right? Like I said, it looks like 4 to the 1. Let's see it again. What if x equals negative 2? I'm going to choose x equals negative 2. So 1/4 to the negative 2 is the same thing as 4 to the 2. So my negative undoes the fraction. So if x equals negative 2, I'm going to say y is 16th. Now, negative 3, we can find out x equals negative 3. I'm going to have 1/4 to the negative 3. That's the same thing as 4 to the 3rd. So that is 64. I'm not going to have room to draw that one. So let me just draw the other points. Negative 1/4, negative 2/16. So I have a very good idea how my graph looks like. And there you go. Now let's take a look at my examples 11 and 12. I'm going to be doing some shifting. I'm going to move my graph 2 to the left. Remember, when the x value is opposite of what we think of. So x plus 2 means 2 to the left. So I'm going to be moving 2 to the left and 1 up. The plus 1 at the end means up 1. Usually, the x-intercept is this point. However, I'm moving it 2 to the left, 1 up. So that's going to give me this point. That's the point on my graph. My intercept is usually at the point 0, 1, but in this case, I moved it 2 to the left, 1 up. Let me find a couple of the other points. Because my base is more than 1, I expect my graph to go up. I'm going to choose, let's say, positive values of x. I could choose x equals 1. So I'm looking at, for my y value, I'm looking at this as 2 to the 3rd plus 1. The 3rd, because I'm looking at if x equals 1, so that's how I get 2 to the 3rd plus 1. So my y value is 9. That gives me this point. What if I said x equals 2? I'm looking at this as 2 to the 4th plus 1, which is 17. I think I have enough for my line. Now let's take a look at question number 12. I expect my graph to be going down because my base is less than 1. I'm going to be moving my intercept. Remember, usually the y-intercept is the point 0, 1. That point, I'm going to be moving it 2 to the right and up 1. So that gives me this point. My point 0, 1, I move the 2 to the right and up 1. Now let me choose negative values for x. So I have 1/2 to the negative 3 plus 1. 1/2 to the negative 3, that's the same thing as 2 to the third plus 1. So I'm going to say my y value is 9. I can come up with other points, but I think we have enough. 2 points is really enough. I have those 2 points on the graph. So there. I want you guys to know whether the graph goes up or down based on the value of the base. And I want you guys to be able to find a couple points on your graph.